All right, get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet all of your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So for the last couple of days, boy, we've been doing our own assessment of the Cleveland Browns foundation. And today we are going to compare our notes to Jeremiah Trotter and the MST podcast as they released the Cleveland Browns foundation yesterday. Steve, you can take tag board forward. Let's have a conversation about it. What you think?
So to give a little, let me give a little context because Bo wasn't here the last 2 days. Moving the Sticks podcast with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks did it player by player. We did it position group by position group because we wanted to split it offense, defense, and we'll compare our answers in a sec. But before we compare our answers to what Moving the Sticks podcast did, I want to see if you agree with what the panel's consensus on Monday and Tuesday was.
Fair enough.
So the 4 categories, in case anyone missed it, and if you watch every day, we apologize for the 3rd day in a row explaining this, but blue is for a blue chipper.
Right.
Top of the line. Green was
good.
Green good. Yellow, age, injury, contract concerns, and then pink.
Just some concern.
Some sort of concern. Yeah. Pink was young and unproven.
What about if the guy just sucks?
Pink was as low as it went.
Okay.
Now, they didn't put any players who just sucked in when they did it. They did usually the 12 best players, and that's why we went with categories, position groups instead.
Okay,
so
made sense.
For the UCSS panel, on Monday it was JG Earl. Tuesday it was me, G, and Earl.
Okay.
We went yellow for quarterback room, which is concerns.
Fair. I would agree with that.
Yellow for running back room.
I would agree with that.
We went pink for the overall wide receiver room. Now, there's no in between, which is the issue, because we knew Amari Cooper was not a pink. The rest we put in the pink, and we thought the rest outweighed Amari Cooper.
I know it really doesn't fit, but I think I would give them a yellow.
Well, we said the same thing, but because we want to compare it to their answers.
I guess I would have to, based on that, I'd have to go pink. But
we went blue for the tight end room.
Is David Njoku blue chip? I feel like he's kind of between blue and green, but I mean, based on, I'd go green.
Green, okay. And we went green for the offensive line as a whole.
I would agree with that. So I think you guys did a good job.
On the defensive side of the ball.
Major beefs on there.
Defensive side of the ball. We went blue for defensive ends. Not tackles. This is just defensive ends.
Well, if we're weighing down Amari Cooper, don't we have to weigh down?
Well, Myles Garrett is on a different level than Cooper.
That's fair.
And is Alex Wright, Ogbo, and Isaiah McGuire, how do they compare to the unknowns of Tillman, David Bell, and Elijah Moore?
I mean, it's a little better. I don't think significantly, but I agree. Myles Garrett's better than Amari Cooper. All right, I'm okay with that.
And we had a light blue.
We had a light blue.
Light blue, yeah. I'll go light blue.
Which is not exactly the category that is how we
all right,
went.
I agree with that.
So the defensive tackle and linebacker room, we actually gave 2 grades because this is technically, the assignment was guys on the roster right now.
Right.
The only defensive tackles on the roster right now are Dalvin Tomlinson and Siaki Ika.
Right.
Now, we went in the assumption they'll re-sign a guy or two, and we went with a green for the defensive tackle room. With the caveat, the reality is today it's a pink because it's just Tomlinson and Ika, and there's so much unknown.
I would agree if they brought back Shelby Harris or somebody of that ilk.
Mo Hurst.
Then I would probably go green.
We said they should bring back 2 out of the 3 between Hurst, Shelby Harris.
Yeah, I mean if they bring 2 of the 3 or one of the 3 and another player that's of that level, then I would agree with the green. Yeah.
The only linebackers in the contract right now are JOK, Diabate, and Tony Fields. So we went with a pink. However, with the caveat, we think they'll sign Taki back.
If Taki
brings it a green.
And or Walker come back, then I would go to – I would actually go to green.
Green?
Really?
Yes.
If both come back. What if just one comes back?
I would still go green. That's how much I think of JOK right now, which is crazy because I thought he was total trash a year.
I said that.
We'll get to JOK because that's one of the players they mentioned in Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks.
Right.
We went.
I think they gave him a blue, didn't they?
No, they gave him a green.
Oh,
and we're going to talk whether he's a green or a blue.
Yeah.
Cornerbacks, not safeties, cornerbacks. We went with the blue chip group.
Yes.
And then safeties, we went green.
I wanted to give him a yellow.
He wanted yellow. He was
because
outvoted.
I'm more yellow than I'm yellow.
Okay.
I'm not sold completely on anybody at safety. They're not terrible.
No,
but I don't know that any of them are good enough.
And I think Grant Delpit played good enough, but he
does have the injury concern.
Concerns are there.
Yeah.
And Thornhill didn't show me much.
No. But I think we're all in the same ballpark.
So that's how we went. And if you were with us the last 2 days, it seems like you've kind of been in the same.
Yeah,
so now,
okay.
Earl, if you want to pull up Daniel Jeremiah's, and the differences are, they went player by player.
Right.
We went group by group, but we'll still.
But he only did like the top
12 guys.
Okay, 12.
He combined some offensive linemen into one player, but. Or let's go player by player.
Yeah, that was weird. Why did he do? Because there were other teams he didn't do that.
That's why we did it a little differently.
It was strange,
but we do want to have the comparison sake.
Because when I saw the Bengals list, he didn't have any combined offensive linemen.
No.
I thought that was weird. But go ahead.
So let's see how Daniel Jeremiah went.
Yeah. Okay. It's a little hard for me to read, Earl, so you might have to tell me there. So we start with Deshaun Watson. He gets a yellow.
Which is in line with
completely fair. Yeah, I mean, what else could you do right now?
And even we asked the chat when we did this on Monday.
Yeah.
What category they'd put Deshaun Watson in. 56% of the chat said yellow as well.
I mean, how could you put him anywhere else?
I don't think you can. But
it's injury. It's performance.
Yeah.
It's
contract.
So it's all the above letter D. Like
if you're, did anybody put him in blue? In the chat?
No, it was actually.
Nobody even put him in green.
Yeah.
It was yellow, green, blue, and then unproven. Was obviously nothing.
Obviously, listen. If you say he's a green, you're just projecting.
Yeah.
And hoping.
And we hope he's in the green or blue at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Right. He certainly can get back there, but today he's not.
He's never been in the green. He was in the blue in Houston, and he's been in the yellow here.
Yeah, I would argue that. I could argue that.
No, he was a blue chipper.
I mean, you want to say as a rookie, he was probably pink.
Yeah.
And then after that, he was blue, and here he's been a yellow. He's never been just good.
No, he was in my opinion,
we'd all take that. I'd sign for good now.
But he was a definitive blue chipper in Houston. I hope he gets back to that. I still think that's in him somewhere. It's just a matter of can the Browns, Ken Dorsey, Stefanski, this offensive staff get it out of him. But as of today, I don't think there's a case to make an argument he's anything but a yellow in that sense.
No. Go ahead. All right, what's next? What do we got?
Next one, there was some dissension, and Earl, you're going to have to chime in here because it's Nick Chubb. Now, we ended up as a unit putting the Browns running backs and mostly Nick Chubb in the yellow. Earl had him as still a blue chipper. And Earl, now you see how Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks
what did they put him as?
They put him as a yellow.
He has to be a yellow.
It's because as I was here with Jay, I read it off. I read off the knee injury that he had, and it wasn't even a knee injury that he had this year. I read off 3 torn ligaments when he got hurt back in Georgia, 2015.
Yeah.
So this is the second time he's torn multiple ligaments, 3, so 6 in total.
Yeah.
And also he missed time in 2020.
That's right.
So I don't know how you can figure that.
And then tack on his age.
Yeah, and he's a running back.
He's the same age that Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott, who both basically went off the cliff last year, were. Now he's at his best is better than those guys, but not by much when they were all at their best. I mean, those guys were great Pro Bowl backs too. So, in fact, those guys are both better pass catchers than he is or have been in their careers. So there's no, I love you, Earl, but last week you were arguing that some team would pay Nick Chubb big free agent.
You love me. I could defend myself on this first.
I know, but I'm saying last week you argued that he would, somebody would pay him big money in free agency, which is never going to happen.
I still think he's a blue chip. I can tell you why. First and foremost, I think the things about age and position, in my opinion, those are cliches and stereotypes. 28, 29, 30, 31 is not old, whether you play in the NFL or not.
Yes, it is, though. The facts back it up.
But how? Because you have premier wide receiver, the top premier wide receivers right now in the NFL are all between 29 and 31 years old.
That's not true.
You can go look.
Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are the 2 best receivers in the league.
Just go look at it from last season.
Well, wait a second. First of all, we're talking about a different position.
Right. So,
okay.
I'm trying to get it out.
That's number one.
I'm trying to get it out.
That's irrelevant. But
okay,
Jefferson and Chase are the 2 best receivers.
I'm trying to get it out.
Go ahead.
I think Nick Chubb is blue chip, period. I don't really have concerns about the injuries or his age or his position. I look at Nick Chubb in rare air like I looked at Adrian Peterson when he played the position. I understand that he's torn multiple ligaments in the same knee multiple times. The first time he did that was 2015. That was, 9 years ago. So I'm not really too concerned with that. People can think of it how they want to think of it, but when you look at science, medicine, and recovery in 2024, this is not the 1980s. I think that he can fully recover and come back and still have a significant impact. If I'm wrong, but that's what I feel.
It's always, of course, it's possible he could do that, but there's no way you could be sure about that.
I never said I was sure.
Well, but the pink means it's a question mark.
The yellow.
A yellow means it's a question mark. So how you're admitting it's a question mark. If you're saying you're not sure about it, then you're saying it's a question mark. None of the things everything you said just now is hope. It's not facts.
I never said it was facts, though. None of it is facts.
Yes. Well, here's what's facts. That there are that the amount of 29-year-old and older running backs that are still great really don't exist.
But Nick Chubb is not those dudes. I think Nick Chubb is in rare air like Adrian Peterson.
But again, what I'm saying is a fact. What you're saying is an opinion. I agree. Aren't Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott great backs? They were.
They was never on the same level as Nick Chubb.
I don't know that they weren't. I mean, I would take Nick Chubb over them, but not by much. I think it's minuscule different. Dalvin Cook has been one of the best backs in the league. Same thing with Zeke Elliott. But they both went off the cliff. Both had their worst years of their career, and they weren't coming off an injury that Nick Chubb is. To say you're not worried about it, the assumption is not even going to be ready for week one.
Even if he's not ready for week one, so what? We're not worried about Nick Chubb in September. We need Nick Chubb in December.
How would you possibly call a guy a blue chip who's 29 and not even going to be ready for week one?
Because that's my opinion. Just like this entire list is projected to be anybody's opinion. I still think he's a blue chip running back.
When I was parsing it, for me to put anyone in a blue chip category, it had to be someone I had no questions about.
Right.
That's why I put Chubb in the yellow, because I do think there are question marks. That doesn't mean Nick Chubb can't get back to being a blue chip form, but right now, I put him in yellow for that exact reason.
For me, he has to be, and he's a way better athlete than me. Let's be clear. I've had 17 some odd surgeries. I've torn my ACL and MCL and all that other good stuff. Here's what I do know just from the circumstance. Yes, medicine has gotten a ton better. You're never really up to what you used to be. However, the goal is and the hope is that 98% of Nick Chubb is way better than 100% of other people, right?
Sure.
I think 85% of Nick Chubb is better than most.
But the question is, can he even get to that? And B, if he does, when will it happen?
And
is it the second half of next year?
And there's another thing about the question is, what does the offense look like, right? It's not going to be the same old Nick Chubb offense where we hand him the ball. Hey, trust me, I'm the guy that wanted to give him 20 carries every week.
Yeah.
I don't think 20 carries every week is definitely not in the program now. I think that they'd be smart to go get another running back and to lessen the blow and then if you get 12 good carries from Nick Chubb, I'll take the 12 good carries, right? And then if he's blue chip for 12 carries, salute.
Yeah. I mean, do I think it's possible he could be blue chip? Absolutely. It's possible, but
are you going to?
It's too big. It's too big a devastating an injury, and at his age for a running back, that there's too many question marks.
Now I advocate him being on the roster. I advocate him
100%.
I advocate him.
Yeah, and we'll get more to that in a little bit. But let's go to the next position. What do we got next, Earl?
Next up was wide receiver, right, Earl? Or at least Amari Cooper?
I think next up was Amari Cooper. They had him in green.
Amari Cooper, we can combine Cooper and Njoku, both greens. We put as a group the receiver category in pink because the rest of the guys were unknown. We put Njoku in the blue, so we were differentiating as a group. We didn't do individual players. Bull, what do you think about? We'll start with Cooper.
I would like to know how many wide receivers he called blue chip.
Like where's the delineation?
Where is the
line?
line?
Is it top 10? Is there 15 blue chip guys?
I think it's fair. I don't disagree because, to me, blue chip is the 6 or 8 best guys. I don't know where that line is exactly. Now
it's that tier 1, whatever the number is. The tier 1.
If you told me looking at how many starting receivers there are, if you do 3 receiver sets,
it's 90.
It's 90.
Or 96.
I'm going blue chips is 10. Give me 10 guys.
Yeah.
and that's only everybody can't be blue chip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to me, Amari Cooper's probably somewhere around 10.
Right.
He might be 9, he might be 11, he might be 8, he might be 12.
Somewhere in that range.
My first gut reaction is that Green is right for him. But I would make him, to me,
He's the
David
high end of
Njoku's a
green.
light green, and Amari Cooper's a dark green.
See,
Closer to blue.
I kind of disagree with that.
I
I think
Why? Because
Njoku.
you think Njoku's
going
up?
Yes.
Yeah,
And I think Njoku's closer to that. So you said 10G. I think if you're going blue chip, I think that's like the best of the best. Like,
Right.
I think blue
But I don't
chip
think
is,
Njoku's best of the best.
But I think he's closer to whatever that tier is, whether it's top 5, 6.
I don't agree.
I think Njoku's closer to tier 1
Amari
of tight
Cooper's
ends.
done it a number of years. Now he's getting older, so he
Well,
could
and
drop
that's-
off.
and that's part
but
of it,
Njoku's only played, and first of all,
He had half a great
Amari
season.
Cooper has had a few tier 1 seasons.
Yes.
I mean, he had
David
a good,
Njoku has never had a tier 1 season, and he's only had 1 tier 2 season.
in my head, when
Yeah.
I look at it, if I'm just naming off the top of my head, if I'm now, here's where I differ. Like, I don't know if I would put Puka Nacua. I mean, but
Puka's got to do it another year first.
You'd rather have Puka because he's younger,
but he had a blue chip year.
he did.
He
He had a blue chip season.
He had a blue,
100%.
that had blue, and then if you say I got Jefferson, and then I got Chase, and I got Devontae Adams over here,
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill, that's 5 right there.
Diggs.
Stephon Diggs, you got
They had a
CeeDee
bad
Lamb,
ending season.
CeeDee
CeeDee
Lamb.
that's 7 right
Brandon
I'm
there.
taking Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
that's 8
Brandon
right there.
Ayuk was first team all.
Brandon
All-Pro.
Ayuk, yep, there it is.
Bull loses his beard and loses all sense
Brandon
of balance.
Ayuk, that's 8 right there, and I mean,
I don't.
I mean, Keenan Allen had another. I mean, these are just guys.
Mike,
Mike
Mike
Evans, Keenan
like,
Allen. Bull is.
I think now's a good time to tell people, if you want to see more hijinks like me busting up the set, make sure you subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Hit that subscribe button. If you are watching right now, you people, I'm talking to you. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and you'll get alerts every time the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is on, every time the Ultimate Cleveland Browns Show is on with G. Bush, every time the Ultimate Cleveland Cavs Show is on with Mike and Jason, every time the Ultimate 216 Show is on with Earl, every time the Behind the Glass with Anthony, Earl, and Mike.
we got
and
75
eventually we'll
shows.
have an Ultimate Cleveland Guardians show, which will probably start sometime in March with a host to be determined. So please hit that subscribe button, thumbs up, do all that. You won't regret it.
So can you send her the basketball?
What's
Can
that?
you send her the basketball back, please?
Why can't I hear Earl? What the hell is going on?
He said center the basketball.
Oh, center of the basketball. Okay. Oh, I can hear you now, Earl. Go ahead.
now,
Great job out of you.
Now, here's the thing,
Yeah.
though. Like, since I've done that exercise and I see now I could say, yeah, you're right. He's a green.
Yeah.
Now, the same thing with David Njoku. If I go through the list, now it's only one tight end that usually starts. So now I got to cut that list down
Right.
to about 5
It's
or
5.
6.
Right.
5.
Okay.
And
And I think Njoku's in the conversation for that 5 spot.
So you got Kelsey,
Laporta.
Kittle,
Andrews,
Laporta, and then I think Njoku's right in that
now
conversation.
we're forgetting a good. Oh, Hawkinson.
Okay.
Hawkinson, and you can
And you-
squint and make Njoku.
and
I
that-
can't put it.
But
Hawkinson's been good for a number of years.
Hawkinson fine, but Laporta as a rookie, and yes, I would
Right,
I
but
would take him ahead. I'm not
Laporta
saying.
as a rookie had a better season than Njoku's ever had.
But I'm
Yes.
just saying, I think you can make the argument that
Yeah.
he's right there 6, which puts him closer to that blue
Yes.
chip tier 1 category.
I
than
think Amari
theoretically
Cooper's
speaking,
just
Amari
as
is.
close. I think it's close. Now, you're asking who'd you rather have for the next 5 years? Of course, you'd rather have Njoku.
But yeah, it's not.
If you're
apples.
asking who's been the consistently better player in their careers, it's not close.
I'm not
Amari
arguing. I'm not
Cooper's been
arguing
way
that
better.
point. Yeah.
But in the end, I think they're both green.
I think they're green.
I think
I
that's
think
a fair
green.
agreement.
That was a 10-minute discussion to agree
Yeah.
with Daniel
Yeah,
Jeremiah.
that's right.
They had some offensive line combos here.
Yeah.
So they had 4 offensive linemen in the
Yes.
yellow. Conklin, Batonio, Jed Wills, and DeJuan Jones, but they had Pochich and Teller in the green. Overall,
I wonder why they did that that way.
And they're the only team that they put.
Well,
2
here's the
for each.
thing. If you look at the PFF grades, Teller and Pochich had good seasons.
Yes.
Batonio was He was okay. DeJuan Jones, based on PFF, was okay, which we're fine with because he's
He
a
was
rookie.
great for a rookie, but in the grand
And the
scheme
other
of
guys
things,
were not very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So maybe that's why they split it that way. Because, I mean, right now, Wyatt Teller's I think has passed Bitonio.
I would agree.
As the best O-lineman on the team, I think.
Yeah, I think, and you know what O-line, they start going on name after a while.
Yes,
like,
that's 100% true.
You just be like, oh, I heard his name a bunch.
Right, he must be good. Yeah.
Nah, not really.
When those guys start to tail off,
it can go quick.
The general public doesn't really pick up on that.
You don't see it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like until you're like forced to be like, dang.
Right. Until he's terrible or he's getting cut.
Let me ask you guys this, and we'll move through this quickly. Conklin, injury concerns for sure, right? He's
Huge.
a definitive yellow.
Yeah.
Bitonio, age, contract, injury. Do you have questions about Bitonio moving forward?
I still would call him a green, a lower tier green.
I-
but I'd still call him a green.
I actually would agree with
He
that.
is unripened bananas.
Yes. But I agree. I think Bitonio, maybe it's just based off reputation. I still think he's
a green in decline.
He might not be a great green anymore, but he's certainly still.
Well, he was a blue.
Good.
I think.
Well, that's
I
what
think a few years ago he was a blue.
But I mean, even on the green scale, he may not be. But he's perfectly solid.
Yeah,
if you have Bitonio, you're not worried about a
I
guard.
could argue Wills is pink.
Wills and DeWand, they're both in the yellow. I don't think it's too early to give DeWand a legitimate good.
I think we got to stick DeWand in yellow for now. He does it again next year. I'm moving him up. I agree with you. I think Wills is pink.
Wills should be pink.
Wills is definitely pink.
And then Teller and Pochich, there's not many questions.
They're green. I mean, I think Teller and I think they're both borderline blue.
So, but
for
green,
their position.
Yeah.
But so we're not disagreeing with that.
Yeah, no.
Let's go to defense. We'll make this one super quick. Miles Garrett, blue chip, no
That's
disagreement.
not even worth discussing.
Agbo, a yellow. I had him as a green personally. Gee, I don't know where you fell yesterday.
He's not a starter.
He's a specialist.
Yes.
So if I wouldn't mind him being a yellow if he's just a specialist because I'm going to play him on pass rush downs. I don't got a problem with saying he's not going to be no run stuffer or nothing.
Yeah, I can't give a guy who's not a starter a green.
Well, this was one of the ones where I wish there was more specification on the categories because I don't have age or injury or contract concerns for him, and I don't think he's necessarily a certified good player.
If there was a category between yellow and green, that's where we put
But because
Agbo.
I didn't have concerns,
like,
I put him as a green.
Quality backup.
He's a guy I want on my team.
Right.
Yeah, perfectly.
Maybe backup's not even the right word. High quality rotational player.
He's a good piece.
Yes.
A good piece.
Yeah.
So, and I gave that to Alex Wright. I gave him a yellow. That's not a bad thing.
I didn't love the categories.
Well, Alex Wright has more to prove, certainly. Yes.
But I just didn't love the categories for Agbo
I think we know what Agbo is. He's a good, solid. Like, Alex Wright could be better, but he might not be as good as Agbo.
Yeah.
I
was one of the best third pass rushers.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed.
We disagree with this next one. Denzel Ward. We had him in the blue chip category. Daniel Jeremiah had him in green. Who's right, who's wrong? Us or Daniel Jeremiah?
I'm with you guys. I think he's blue. Now, I think he's lower tier blue, but I think he's not like dark blue Myles Garrett.
No, he's
in the blue. Because he is a guy to me, he's one of the few corners in the league that teams are teams worry about him.
Yes.
He is, obviously teams worry most about Myles Garrett when you play the Browns. But after that, they worry about Denzel Ward. And we saw what this defense looked like when Denzel didn't play. Their secondary was lousy in those games.
I think the Browns defense has 3 blue chip players, and one of them is JOK, another one is.
I can't go to blue yet. He's got to do it again.
I'm with you. We can, in my mind with JOK, last year,
he was a blue last year.
He played a blue chip season.
He had a blue chip season.
Before I make him a blue, he's got to do it twice.
That's right. That's how I feel. He's got to do it twice before I put him there.
But he's right on that edge. He's right on the precipice.
I don't know that I've ever. I mean, that is so weird to have a player go from, I don't know if this guy can even play in the league, to he had a blue chip season.
Yeah.
How often do you see that?
He was the best player on that field defensively for both teams against the Texans and the Browns. Best player. Out of all, Will Anderson, all of them.
Of defense?
100%. He was just in he had.
I thought there were multiple games.
And you got to even give him more credit because he was getting zero help
at all. He was in the backfield. I'm like, dang, JOK.
Yeah. So they had him as green. I think he had a blue chip season, but I think green's the right spot. Yeah. Last two, and this one I disagree with a lot.
Yeah.
Delpit and Newsome both in the pink, which to their category. And this is a quote. Oof. Unproven / young. I'm not sure.
Pink?
Is pink, and they're both pink. In the I'm not sure you could call any of them quote unquote
young
young
anymore. I would put
anymore.
them both as yellow.
If you want to go yellow or green, but pink feels way off.
There's yellows to me, and I think recency bias has you feeling more pinkish on Newsome just because he just didn't do very well on Nico Collins. They was like, yeah, Nico, like we're gonna Emerson, we're not gonna mess with him. We're gonna go right at you though. And it was just tough on some of those. But I think he's still a yellow too.
Greg Newsome is a guy. It's like the lows are really low. When he's bad, he's really bad. And then most of the time he plays solid football.
He's serviceable.
But he has these games where he's just terrible.
And I think that now I have Emerson at green. But I think he has here's my problem. If he was a little bit faster, he has to be in position. He has to use his hands. He has to be physical. That's cool. If he was faster, man, he'd be one of the best corners in the league.
He is the defensive version of T. Higgins. He's a really good tier 2 wide receiver / corner. Yeah. Really good. But they're both missing that speed element that would put them to the top put them into the first tier.
We talked about Newsome.
Both big guys.
Yeah.
Both good hands for a defensive back and wide receiver.
Yeah.
I look at them that way. But I can't go blue on him.
Yeah,
I'm green with that.
I think that's fine. But with Delpit, Delpit was on his way to a Pro Bowl season before the injury. And granted, if you want to say the injury concerns and he got paid, and that contract might not be right, they put him in the yellow.
Now, I don't think the PFF grades didn't have him as a Pro Bowl season.
I thought the first 5 games
he was
played,
fantastic the first couple, then it kind of teetered
off. First 5
off.
he was elite. Then it was like, oh.
But
So you'd put him as green.
I think Delpit's a green, and then if you want to tell me that Newsome you have concerns about still, I'll put him in the yellow. I just think pink's the wrong category.
But Delpit's had a lot. No, I agree. But I'd put him at yellow. I just think he's had so many injuries.
He's had the Achilles heel. He missed a year with. He's missed some games. He misses some games last year.
What I saw from Delpit in 2023, though, before the injury at the end, which was a freak injury, by the way. And granted, not every injury is the same. I don't think you could tag everyone who gets hurt injury prone because there are different categories, different ways you can get hurt. But I thought he was playing really well for the most part last season. And I understand that's not the majority of his career.
That's why you can't.
It was a smaller portion, but he's young, and I'm maybe projecting a little ahead, and that's not part of the project, this research project, so maybe that's my bad. But he was on the up and up, and he's still young, so I think or maybe he's a yellow now, and we'll get to a green.
Because he's only played at the green level for half a season in his career, I can't put him there until he does it more consistently.
I'm willing to do. I thought Earl said something the other day about injuries that I agree with. Like now, just knowing how football is, and they playing 17 games and still got preseason games and all this other stuff, and given the wear and tear that they have in college, you got to play 3 years. If you can get 10 games out of a guy, I'm like, okay. If you can get 12 games out of a guy, out of 17, you like, oh, I'm ecstatic about that. If you get 14 out of 17, I start to look at that as like, yeah, that's excellent because for me, like Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
I know Denzel Ward going to miss 4 games automatically.
He misses 3, 4. But I don't agree with the 10 part of that. To me, 10 is you're missing almost
I think
half
13, 14.
10,
if you're saying a guy's going to play 13, 14, I could live with that. As long as he's playing at the end of the year and the 3, 4 in the middle of the season. And it also depends on the position, right? I mean,
So offensive lineman, you want more durability.
Yeah.
Right? You would like to see those guys out there more. But when you're talking about, it just seems like, especially with defenders, like safeties and corners where they got to hit people, it's too much stuff. Like they can either have head injuries, stingers, shoulders, and they have soft tissue things like calves and hamstrings. So if I get a receiver or corner that give me 14, I'm going to take that.
I do think I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just think it's a really difficult way to build a team if you're counting 3, 4 injuries on everybody. And I know you take that into account when you're putting a team together, but you need some guys that you know are going to be there. And durability
There's no guarantee in anything,
with anything,
right?
Yeah.
But yes, if you have too many guys that are consistently missing chunks of time, that's a problem. The better the guy is, the more of that you're willing to put up with. But if you have a team full of guys that are consistently missing time, that's not great.
Yeah, you can't. But I look at the way I don't think this is an anomaly last year. I think you were going to have, it may not be the Browns next year, but you're going to have a team that is just decimated.
Right. Oh, it happens every year.
When it's all said and done, for all the talk about injuries, for all the talk about, backup quarterbacks, which was obviously a huge story for us, in the end, 12 of the 14 teams that made the playoffs, their quarterback played almost every game, if not every game. And the only teams that didn't were the Browns, and there was, I can't remember the other team now.
The Rams, because Brett Ripon or whoever it was.
No,
played.
but Stafford played almost every game. He played like 14, 15 games last year. There was one other team that had a quarterback that missed like half the season. Who was another? I feel like I got to look at the playoff teams.
I don't think so.
I think there might have. Was there one other?
I don't.
But either way, every team that won at least one playoff game, their quarterback played almost every game, if not every game this year.
I thought about you. I was on Jonathan Peterson this morning on the radio, and I thought about, we did this topic, and this is off topic, but maybe we'll talk about it later on in the week. Are you monitoring what the Pittsburgh Steelers may do? Like, there's a couple of options where I feel like, are you scared? Like, not scared, but you like, okay, Justin Fields is an upgrade. I feel like, Russell Wilson is an upgrade.
I think a bag of rocks is an upgrade at quarterback for the Steelers.
And if that's an upgrade and they already went to the playoffs, like I was looking around and I'm like, that's scary. Kirk Cousins to the Steelers? No, that's scary, bro.
Yeah.
Now, what I'll say, though, is Mike Tomlin, he's not going to have a pass-first offense.
No.
He's just never going to have that.
No.
And they're going to be a running team. So I actually think that even though Kirk Cousins is the best of that bunch, I actually think Fields and even Russell Wilson maybe kind of fit that team mobile. Better.
Yeah. I just think
I don't know I still don't. If I was grading Justin Fields, I'd still put him as a yellow. I still don't know what he is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he's had particularly good coaching until this year. He had better talent around him this year. He really hadn't had good talent around him until this year. I still don't know if he's good. I don't if you're ranking Justin Fields, where do you rank him?
He's in the giant unknown. We talked about this last week. We actually did it.
Yeah.
You must have not been there that day, G, but we did. Would you be scared if Justin Fields went to the
I'm not
Steelers?
scared. I'm not scared.
I would be if I was looking at it, if they got Russell Wilson. Now, Russell was a little divisive or whatever the case may be, and he actually had a pretty good year last year.
Yeah.
His stats were fine.
His stats were fine. But what I would be scared of is, all right, I already know that I like Warren, and I thought Harris played well.
Yeah. He
impressed.
played his best football second half of last year.
The second half, and they got Pickens, and they got two pass rushers.
And they got Deontay Johnson.
And they got Deontay Johnson. And so it's like, and Kirk Cousins, he going to be steady. He's, he going to come in and work. He going to come in. He's a calming presence. And Mike Tomlin could be a tyrant on the sideline with his dog tags and his aviator glasses. And I don't like that, man. If you telling me you got to go to Pittsburgh and beat Kirk Cousins the last game of the season to make the playoffs, that's 50-50.
Any of those three quarterbacks make the Steelers anywhere from decent to way better.
Yes.
I mean, their quarterback situation was atrocious last year. Oh, they were the other team that made the playoffs. That was it.
That was it.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
the
yeah,
Steelers. Right.
Yeah.
That's why. Maybe that's why I said
that's
that.
Right. That's right. That sparked something in your head. So, yeah, they were the other team. I think we're all hoping they're going to do a Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph competition.
Oh, I hope they sign Pickett to a lifetime extension.
Love it. Hey, let's see. Don't be Duke a knee jerk. Just see what you got.
He needs at least 6 years. He needs at least 6 years. He needs 10 years in the league to prove he can
I'm going to say I think their best chance is Russell Wilson. Because I think Kirk Cousins is going to go back to Minnesota when it's all said and done.
I do. Yeah, I think they do.
And right now, the rumor is Justin Fields is going to go to Atlanta. Whether that turns out to be true or not, I don't know.
I like that better fitting spot too.
It's a better
from
spot for
Georgia.
Justin
It's
Fields
in the
too.
dome.
They got good talent.
Nice
Atlanta.
young pieces. Well, that Russell Wilson.
If by the way, let me ask you this one: if the Steelers could get Russ, Fields, Cousins, and you, G. Bush, and you, Mike, and you, Earl, you are the one who picks which of those three they get. So obviously you take the guy you think is going to be the worst. Who would you pick? Earl, start with you. Who would you give the Steelers if you had to give them one of those three?
Between Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
Probably Justin Fields.
Okay.
I kind of would lean. I would lean that direction.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'm out on Fields, so I'd give him Fields.
You see, I'm not sold on Fields, but I give them Russ. Because I think Russ is certain. Listen, Cousins is the best. I don't think any of us were going to give him Cousins, even though he's the oldest. Or him and Russ are pretty
I think
close.
Russ is a little older.
Oh, he's a little older?
I think it's 36, 35.
But I could see, like, Russ, even though his numbers were fine, he's not the player he was.
No.
And he could completely go off the cliff this year.
Yeah.
Where I think Fields with a smart coach. Now, the Steelers have a smart head coach. I don't know if they got a smart offensive guy.
I think Arthur Smith and Justin Fields is like oil and water.
Oh, that's right. Arthur Smith's their play caller.
Yeah, it'd be a terrible fit. Like,
Yeah.
that would just be a catastrophe.
I just got a hunch that Russell Wilson could really go off the cliff this year.
Well, Chad Johnson said it. He
Yeah.
said he thought he had some inside information. He was on with Shannon Sharp. He said he's been hearing Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh for a long period of time.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I'm telling you, I think, listen, Steelers, listen to me. Can you? Thank you. I got a great trade for you. Go right now to the Falcons and go get Desmond Ridder. I think that's your answer. And have a three-way competition between Pickett, Ridder, and Mason Rudolph. You'll be all fine.
No. Let's at the ante.
Yeah.
Call the Giants, too, and offer a fourth-round pick for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, actually.
Because you know what's better than 2 quarterbacks?
Well, Daniel Jones.
4 quarterbacks.
Daniel Jones would actually be an upgrade over any of those guys.
See, now, the problem is if they do get Russ, you know what the polls is going to be at. Is Deshaun Watson, where does he rank in the division?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're going to have those guys. Anyway, yeah.
That's
going to happen with Pickett, Rudolph, Wilson.
Listen, I'm going to just tell you, I hope with all of my being, I hope hard sometimes. Like, I hope he comes out and balls out. Like, I wish for everything he give me 4,200. Just give me the 4,200 and like in 27 touchdowns or something. Like, bro, if you give me that, we can roll with that. I just do not want to go down this narrow pathway, down this hallway again. Like, they're saying he's throwing the football right now, right?
No, he's supposed to start next month.
Next
So
week or
ahead of
two.
schedule, yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. I'm Duke and Knee-Jerk. I thought you was already throwing.
And Mary Kay was the one who reported it earlier this week that he was throwing. Or going to be throwing.
I thought he was already ready to go.
Nope.
We'll find out. I know we're going.
Well, listen.
We'll talk about that tomorrow too.
It's fine that he's,
Take
it's
it
early
slow.
enough. I mean, it's still a long way to go. All right, Earl, what do we got?
Before we